Do you find yourself in a situation where you are always feeling hungry close to bedtime and you're worried? You're wondering, should you eat? Should you not eat? If so, what should you even eat? How long should you stay away from food if you're trying to get to bed at a certain time? I'm going to talk about all that today. So make sure you're leaning in. Make sure you're commenting in the comments if you have questions and you have experiences that you like to share. Now, let's get right into it. The first thing you want to know is that eating close to bedtime is never a good thing, okay? So, as much as possible, make sure that you're eating 3 to 4 hours before bedtime. That gives your body to digest whatever you had before bedtime. Now, if you must eat something close to bedtime, there are some things that you definitely do not want to have before bed. And that would be foods that are rich in carbohydrate, foods that have a high glycemic index. And what they do typically is that they cause high levels or they cause spikes in your blood sugar, and you all know that close to bedtime, you're really, really trying to wind down. And so those spikes in sugar will cause an increase in activity or energy that the body does not necessarily need at that time of the night. So you really want to make sure that you stay away from foods that are rich in carbohydrates. We're talking about bread, rice, potatoes, chips, burgers, all of those things. Bread, I mentioned that already. Okay, so those are the things you really, really want to stay away from. The second group of things that you want to stay away from, maybe not food, but I would say caffeine, right? Close to bedtime, caffeine is definitely not what you want to use. Now, I always recommend to stop caffeine drinks somewhere around midday, noon, because that can sit in your system for about 5 to 16 hours, depending on the individual. Now, let me tell you, I've heard people tell me, and I don't know, it might be true. Some people say, I drink coffee close to bed and I'm able to fall asleep. But if you're someone who is already struggling to fall asleep, you definitely want to keep your caffeine drink or end that caffeine time at noon. Okay. The next thing that you should not be drinking close to bedtime is alcohol. Alcohol can help people relax, and so it seems as though it's a good way to fall asleep. But the issue with it is that it disrupts your deep sleep when on the second half of the night. It can also affect the REM sleep. That's the state where we dream. These are the two main stages of sleep that help you to have a good restful night. And so sometimes you can also look into your day, check out when you take alcohol close to bedtime, see what happens to you the next morning. How do you feel? Do you feel well rested or do you feel more groggy? If most of the times people feel more groggy, and that's the reason because it helps you fall asleep. And then the second half of the night, you feel so tired. The body's not getting the rest needed in the second half of that sleep. Another thing about alcohol is that if you snore or you have sleep apnea, alcohol is going to worsen your snoring. It's going to cause relaxation of the upper airway muscles, and that will worsen snoring, worsen the obstruction of the upper airway, and that can worsen sleep apnea. People typically need higher pressures or pap pressures when they use alcohol during the night. And we see this during the sleep studies. And I asked, did you drink alcohol last night? And they say, yes, I did. And I can tell because the pap pressure was higher than it usually is. The other thing that you don't want to eat or other types of food not to eat are food that have so much spice in them, okay? Because those will upset your tummy. Those will make you very uncomfortable, right? For people that already have reflux, that can worsen it and cause more symptoms at bedtime. Now, we've talked about foods that you should not eat close to bedtime. How about what you can eat? Let's say that you're really hungry and you really want to have something. What kind of foods should you eat? The first thing is think about foods that are rich in tryptophan. That would be milk. Now, milk has mixed studies around it, right? Some people do well if they drink milk close to bedtime. Some people do not do well. So you're going to have to study yourself, going to have to try it out, see if it works for you. More so, if you warm up the milk a little bit, it kind of releases the tryptophan in it. And tryptophan is what the body uses to make melatonin, serotonin, and all of that that helps us fall asleep. So that's one. Having a glass of milk or half a cup of milk is something that can help you fall asleep, or something that you can have close to bedtime that could help you. Another kind of food that I recommend is, I would say, grains and fiber, high fiber containing meals. We're talking about things like oatmeal, um, though they have some carbohydrate in them, but they also have a huge amount of fiber in them, and that seems to help people stay fuller through the night, and so they're not waking up in the middle of the night hungry and looking for snacks to eat. Another thing that I recommend is nuts. Nuts like almonds, walnuts, also rich in tryptophan and are really good, right? So these are the few things that you can eat close to bedtime. But again, recall that I said earlier, generally, we recommend to give at least 3 to 4 hours before bedtime, such that your body has enough time to digest all the food. But if you must eat something, you're really craving something, would like to eat close to bedtime, these are the few things that you could eat that would not necessarily impact negatively on your sleep, and sometimes could even help. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Tell me more about your experiences in the comment section. Thanks for watching.